All right, today we're diving into something huge. Think of it like a detective story, but the mystery we're trying to solve is, well, it's truth itself. We're going to trace how our whole idea of truth has been built up, completely demolished, and then put back together again over the centuries. And you'll see, its foundation, it's been pretty shaky. So where do we even begin?
Well, it all kicks off with this incredibly simple yet mind-bogglingly deep question. I mean, for thousands of years, this one question has been the engine behind philosophy, science, you name it. But getting a straight, solid answer, that's turned out to be anything but simple.
So, our journey starts way back in the ancient world, with this powerful feeling of certainty. For thinkers like the Stoics, truth wasn't something you had to invent or debate. Nope, it was the very fabric of reality itself, a divine, logical order that you just needed to discover and get in sync with.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the core Stoic belief. They looked at the universe, the cosmos, and saw it as being soaked in this kind of divine logic, what they called the logos. This meant that everything that happened, whether you thought it was good or bad, was all part of a rational, understandable plan. For them, truth wasn't up for debate. It was about grasping and accepting this cosmic reason.
And this quote from Seneca just nails that mindset perfectly. This isn't him being a downer, it's actually the complete opposite. He's saying that even our suffering has a real purpose. It's like a form of divine training, a test set up by a benevolent cosmic force to build your character and make you virtuous. Bad things happening wasn't just random chaos. It was part of the truth of the grand cosmic plan.
And to really get how comforting and, solid this worldview was, it really helps to see what the competition was saying. Let's put it side by side with another major school of thought, the Epicureans. You can see right here where the Stoics saw an active, hands-on divinity that had a purpose for your pain. The followers of Epicurus argued that the gods were just distant. They were uninvolved spectators. For them, suffering was just a thing that happened, with zero divine meaning behind it. So yeah, the Stoic view offered a much more stable foundation for truth and meaning in your life.
For almost 2,000 years, that foundation felt pretty solid. But then, you fast forward to the 19th century and everything starts to shake. A whole new wave of thinkers comes onto the scene, and they aren't here to build on that foundation. Oh no, they're here to dynamite it. They launch this radical attack on the very idea of a single objective truth.
And this is the question that changes absolutely everything. What if that neat and tidy order we think we see in the universe isn't actually there? What if it's just a human invention, a comforting story we've made up to feel better about living in a chaotic world?
And here we have Friedrich Nietzsche's explosive answer. He basically says, you know what truth is? It's just a bunch of metaphors and human-made ideas that we've repeated so often they've hardened into so-called facts. For Nietzsche, you don't find truth, you make it. And more than that, he saw it as a creation of power, a way for strong points of view to force their version of reality onto everyone else.
So right after Nietzsche's philosophical earthquake, Karl Marx comes along and takes this whole critique in a totally new direction. He's not looking at the will of the individual. Instead, he's looking at the material, the social conditions that actually shape our ideas of what's true in the first place.
For Marx, the key thing to understand is this concept of ideology. He argued that the big, dominant ideas in any society, our sense of morality, our laws, even our science, they aren't neutral, not at all. They're basically intellectual tools that justify the existing power structure, making the social order seem totally natural and unavoidable, when really it's just serving the interests of the people in charge.
So, long story short, Marx just flips the whole old idea on its head. It's not our great ideas and philosophies that shape the world, it's the world, our economic and social reality that shapes our ideas and what we accept as truth.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the damage. Nietzsche says cosmic truth is a fiction. Marx says social truth is just a tool of power. The old foundations are completely gone. So, what's left? Well, in the 20th century, existentialism shows up with a radical new path. If truth can't be found out there, then it has to be created right here.
Okay, so to get a handle on this, Jean-Paul Sartre gives us two key ideas. First, there's the in itself. Think of any object, like a chair or a rock. Its purpose, its essence, is already set. It is what it is. But then there's us, human consciousness. Sartre calls this the for itself, and it's completely different. It's wide open potential. Now, when he says we're nothingness, he doesn't mean we're empty inside. He means we aren't predefined. We are pure, radical freedom. You see, for that rock, its rockness comes first. For us, it's the other way around.
Our existence comes first, and we have to figure out the rest.
So the bottom line is this: we're just thrown into the world without any kind of pre-written instruction manual or purpose. We start out as nothing. Our truth, our very essence, is simply the sum total of our choices and our actions. We are, as Sartre famously said, condemned to be free. And in that freedom, we have to invent our own meaning, our own truth.
Okay, so after all that radical individualism, is there any way for us to build truths that we can share? Some more recent philosophers think that maybe, just maybe, truth isn't found in the cosmos or created all by ourselves, but forged in the space between us.
Thinkers like Jürgen Habermas have a pretty compelling idea for today. In a world that doesn't have those old divine or metaphysical certainties, truth can come out of what he calls communicative action. It's basically the process of reaching a shared understanding by talking to each other, openly and rationally, without anyone forcing their opinion. In this view, truth becomes a consensus that we build together.
So look at the incredible path we've just walked. We began with this solid, Stoic idea of truth as a fixed cosmic order. Then we watched it get torn down by Nietzsche and Marx, who saw it as a human-made tool of power. And finally, we landed on the existentialist view of truth as a radical, personal choice.
And that brings this whole massive journey right back to us, right here and right now. If there's no single universal foundation for truth just waiting for us to find it, well then the responsibility lands squarely on our shoulders. So the last question isn't just for the philosophers, it's for every single one of us. Standing on this unstable ground without a pre-written map, how are you going to build your truth?